Hey, thanks for coming and checking out this video. Today, I am going to be talking about the upcoming game against Newcastle. So let's get into it. So this is going to be a really important game in terms of mentality of the players. Can they bounce back? Can they put in a good performance after disappointment last week? I'm expecting a strong performance. I'm expecting a strong win. In terms of the lineup, I'm expecting there to be some changes. I think Lacazette came in and did a really good job in adding some energy to the group. What has been missing though is the creativity that Odegaard brings. And I know Odegaard had a last few games that weren't great, but his game is to be creative. And so I think, especially with the lineup we've had recently, we've lost the creativity from the right half space. I think we need to get that back. So I'm looking for Lacazette to come out of that first team and for Odegaard to go in and play as the 10. I'm also going to be looking at a change at left back, Tierney coming back in. I think this is a good game for him to come back in. Nuno's done a phenomenal job. There's no question about that. He's getting a lot of stick because he gave the ball away for the second goal at Liverpool. But in all honesty, if you watch the game back, Salah really didn't have much. Nuno did a very good job against him. You also look at Tomiyasu, who's had a lot of criticism recently as well. And, you look at him, in the first half against Mane, and Mane didn't really have much joy against Tomiyasu. So I'm looking for Tierney to come back in. Let's get his crossing into the box. Hopefully it's going to help us create a little bit more in front of goal. But other than that, I think the team stays the same. I think Sambi and Partey midfield. I think the front three will stay the same. Looking at Aubameyang through the middle, Saka coming off the right, and Smith Rowe coming off the left. The centre-back partnership doesn't even need a mention. They should start every game. They're forming a quite formidable partnership. And this weekend, I'm looking for nothing less than a clean sheet. Moving on to form. Between the two teams, we are the form side. 7 wins, 1 loss, and 2 draws for us. Newcastle haven't had a win this season. They've lost 4, drawn 6. So that tells me that they're making themselves a little bit more difficult to play against. But at the same time, the big teams that have come against them have sort of smashed them, and Arsenal are a big side. I'm expecting Arsenal to go there and really put them to the sword. They've conceded 21 goals, but scored 13, which is not bad. I do think we will capitalize on their poor defending. And I also think we'll capitalize on their not so great attack in the last 10 games. I also looking at their XG. Their XG4 is quite small. Their XG against is, on the larger side. So that benefits us greatly. XG is not something I normally kind of take, much stock in or put much stock in, just because it can flatter to deceive at times. But when you look at their form and then you look at their XG, it kind of, married together tells a much bigger picture. Arsenal's XG is not great at 1.38 goals per game. You look at some of the teams that we've played and haven't scored against. They're some of the better teams in the league. So that factors into the XG here. We've also got a high XG against, and that again is because included in these 10 games are games against Man City, games against Liverpool, where they had XGs of 4 and 5. So again, flatters deceive a little bit. If you look at the form, I definitely think we are heavy favourites for this game, and rightfully so. Only 8 goals against in the last 10 games, 6 clean sheets, and 17 goals. Is great. It could be better for sure. We could have closer to the 30 goals like Liverpool, but we have to remember Liverpool are a well-oiled machine. Have been doing this, this way for 5 years or so. So we're building, we're getting better. Young team is developing their character, developing their understanding. And so, moving forward, I'm quite confident we'll start picking up points and go on a run again. In the previous games we've played against Newcastle, we've won, and we've won pretty comfortably. I remember Aubameyang scoring a fantastic goal on the volley at the back post, jumping volley with a ball from Smith Rowe, which I think might have been mishit. But anyway, and the games have tended to go in our favor. So I'm not expecting anything different from this game. The last time Newcastle won against Arsenal was way back in 2018. In the time since they last beat us, we've won the last 7 games. We've scored 16 goals to their 1. So I'm expecting there to be goals in this game, and I'm expecting them not to score. This is a game I'm expecting us to win quite comfortably. They don't really have much success against us. They've won 1 game against us in the last 18. And prior to that was a draw. So, you're looking at 2 wins in the last, 21 games or something, 22 games. So we should be winning this one quite comfortably. There are 2 key battles that I want to talk about today. The first key battle for me is going to be Saint-Maximin versus Tomiyasu. We all know what saint-Maximin does. He is a key part to any potential success Newcastle will have. He likes to pick up the ball. He likes to run with it. Nearly 9 progressive carries a game, 8.48. So he likes to pick up the ball. He likes to run with it. Completed dribbles 4.39, which is very high. But when you look at his output, his assists only 0.26 assists a game, so that's 1 every 4 games. 0.22 goals per game, that's pretty much 1 every 4 or 5. He's a threat. If anything's going to happen, it's going to happen with him. And Tomiyasu has a big job in keeping him quiet. I personally was very impressed with Tomiyasu's performance in the first half against Mane. I think he did a very good job, especially using his body against Mane, sealing Mane out, stopping him from being able to get onto the end of a few balls and forcing Mane to run the ball out a few times. As we started to get a little bit more desperate, he started to push up a little bit higher onto their fullback, and that kind of gave Mane some more space. I did an analysis on Liverpool's 3rd goal, so you can check that out by clicking here, or here, or wherever it pops up. And you can kind of see just how good Liverpool were with that 3rd goal, but then also some of the mistakes that Arsenal made. But Tomiyasu has been quite impressive, very steady since he came in. Hasn't set the world alight. I would probably agree with that, but he's been steady. He's had, average games, and then he peaks a little bit, then he kind of troughs a little bit. So, that's fine. But his ability to pressure, 11.79 pressures per game, tackles 1.65 per game, and his aerial duels, 3.2 per game, are really, really good numbers for him, especially for a fullback. I think his interception rate is quite incredible, 1.91 interceptions per game. His progressive carries, I would love to be higher, but have to remember, in the system that we play in, he isn't a fullback. He's an inverted fullback. He comes inside, so he gives the ball and then steps inside. What he's showing, though, is that in terms of his positioning, he's a good defender. 1v1, he's shown that he can be a very good defender. So I'm tipping Tomiyasu to come out on top of this, but I do think it's going to be a really good test for him, because Saint-Maximin is quite the player when it comes to his dribbling and his ability to carry the ball. So looking forward to that battle. The second battle I'm looking at is going to be more process-based for Newcastle. I think what they're going to be looking to do is bring Joe Linton into their team. Joe Linton is a very strong player in the air, and is a player who physically is huge, very strong. And so I'm looking for them to go into his feet, into his chest, and see if he can hold it up. Maybe even into his head for flick-ons for Saint-Maximin, and whoever else is playing in the forward line. So I'm looking for him to become a pivotal piece in the new Newcastle system. So Joe Linton, again, isn't a prolific goal scorer, 0.16 goals per game. So one in every kind of 7, maybe every 6. And assists, again, a similar rate. Shot creating actions, 2.55. And I think that's going to be more so about his ability to kind of knock down, or his ability to kind of hold up and bring people into play. The key to Joe Linton's game is going to be his aerial duels. And for aerial duels, he wins, 5.01 per game, roughly. I mean, that's a big number. 5 headers a game. He's definitely going to be in a really good, really tight battle with Gabriel. Although I expect Joe Linton to move over and try to play on White. Gabriel, I'm hoping, will take the lead and go and get tight and get marked with him. And Gabriel has been, phenomenal. The physical battle between these two is going to be great to watch. I do think Gabriel has the edge, and that he will come through and be kind of victorious in the battle. But if the ball is going to go into Joe Linton early, the challenge on aerially is going to be important from Gabriel. But then what we need to see is the midfield underneath picking up this, second balls and picking up knockdowns and picking up any kind of loose headers and that kind of thing. That's going to be key to the game. I've been really impressed with Gabriel this season. He didn't have the best of games against Liverpool. A few little kind of mistakes, missed tackles, mistimed things. But listen, I'm not going to use that one game to beat him, or to slander him or criticize his performance. He has been sensational since, the back end of last season, very consistent. And so, I'm looking forward to seeing him against Joe Linton. I'm looking forward to seeing him physically dominant. I'm looking forward to seeing him get on the ball and do the things going forward that will maybe make Joe Linton have to defend a little bit more. Going into keys for this game, I think the first thing that we need to do is we need to try to cut Newcastle in energy. Newcastle, I haven't spoken much about this, but I rate Eddie Howe really highly. I know he was at Bournemouth and people, turn their nose up at Bournemouth as a small club and stuff, and fine. What he did, though, his ability to coach is very high. I think Newcastle have done a really good job in bringing in somebody who can create philosophy, but then who can coach it. They will have a bounce. I'm not sure whether they'll have it at the moment because Eddie Howe hasn't been allowed to be around the ground because of COVID. But I'm expecting Newcastle to have a bounce. They scored 3 last week. And I'm expecting you to be able to see an identity in Newcastle's play very quickly. So the first thing I think we need to do is we need to cut off that energy early. We do that by dominating the ball, first 20 minutes, get a goal, and continue to put them under pressure. With the ability to counter into Joe Linton, who can hold up and bring in Saint-Maximin, we have to be very, very good on the counter. Is my second point. On the counter, we have to make sure 2 things. We cut them out. Our interception rate is pretty high. And so I expect that we can kind of nip any counterattacks in the bud quite quickly and use that to pin them in their half. I also expect that we will try to dominate the ball and move the ball quickly so that Newcastle can't get a foothold in the game and build any kind of possession. The high press is also going to be very, very important. We've seen a lot of energy in some of the games recently, and I even think against Liverpool in some of the early parts of the game, we were able to put Liverpool under a lot of pressure, which meant that they were kicking the ball out a lot, which basically means we just got the ball back and we were able to stop them from attacking. What we didn't do against Liverpool was possess the ball well enough when we won it back. We were too concerned with getting the ball forward and trying to counter into spaces and into areas that could threaten a goal too quickly. I think I understand it. Obviously, you want to score, and if you can just nick the ball and counter and score, fine. But Newcastle's not a team where we should be looking to give up possession of the ball and allow them to dominate the game while we then dominate in terms of the counterattack. This is a game I expect that we should be fully dominant. We should see a similar level of performance to what we saw against Spurs and Villa and Leicester, but for a prolonged period of time. I'm expecting goals. So my third key is going to be XG. Again, it's not something I place a lot of stock in, but one thing we haven't done well enough is create clear-cut opportunities. I want to see this game where our big chances is 5-6 big chances. I think we have the capability. I think in our forward line, we definitely have the creativity to do it. You know, you look at the year as a whole from the beginning of 2021. We have fourth, up until before the Liverpool game, we have fourth most goals. We have fourth best defense. We have fourth most wins, and we have fourth most points. So creating chances and scoring goals isn't a problem. We're keeping them out at the other end, which is allowing us to win games. But it's time to get cutthroat. It's time to get really, really devastating in front of goal. We need to stop being so wasteful. We need to take the chances when they come. So I'm going to tip Aubameyang to have a big game like he did against them last time. And, you know, I'm looking for a big Arsenal win. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this video. If you've enjoyed it, please make sure you like and share. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do click on the subscribe button and also click on the bell. Make sure you get the notifications for new videos. There's going to be a lot coming. If you'd like to get involved in conversation, you can leave comments here. You can also leave comments on my social media, sensible_gunner on Twitter and on Instagram. All that's left to say now is, come on, you Gunners.